Alright YouTube, one last video on this XL before we close this off as a successful rebuild. I'm bringing you in just right now sort of like a intro to the video. We finally got this thing out on the lake, got about 2 hours out there of riding, and so anyway, I'm just kind of introducing this, and I wanted to bring you guys in and show you the spark plugs, because of the issues that I had with the carburetor. With the low speed needle was bent, the original one, and I think it damaged the threads on the inside of the carburetor, because of the new needle would not go all the way in. And so anyway, I had to play with it, and but I think I got the settings right. I'm happy with the way the spark plugs look. I want to show those to you, how they look, but we'll come back after you look at the short video of on the lake and how things went out there and how it sounded, and then we'll come back and take a look at these spark plugs. All right, let's do that. All right, so I finally got this thing to the lake, and so what I'm going to do is I'm putting brand new spark plugs. That way we're going to see how each cylinder is running, if we're running lean, if we're running too rich. So we'll get these in, tighten them up, and I don't know if we'll get any video out on the water. I brought my GoPro, but I didn't bring the right connection, so we'll see what I can do.
You're fine.
This thing cranked up, fired right up. right, I'll call that a successful successful first ride. I only kept it about 1/4 of a throttle, a little bit more, but so I don't know if you could tell when I had the camera pointed down at the speedometer. I think I got it to maybe 35 at the fastest. So, but great. I'm happy, and can't wait to get this thing fully broken in and have some fun on this thing. All right, I'm gonna cut this off. If anything else comes up, I'll bring you in. All right, so now we got this thing back home. The reason I didn't check these spark plugs and everything on the boat ramp as we brought it in, and I'll tell you why we didn't do that in a minute, but let's go ahead and take a look at these spark plugs and see how we ran. Now, I've already pulled them out, obviously looked at them, and I am pleased at the way these things look. We were out there for about 2 hours. I say about an hour and a half we spent riding this thing. About the fastest we got was maybe 35 miles an hour. And I say we because I rode it half the time and my wife was on it the other half. So I'm hoping it is picking it up good. But, you know, if anything, this is running maybe a tad bit rich, I think. But definitely not any white color. We're not running lean, and this is on the PTO side. But I would say looks pretty good. Now it was the mag side of the carburetor in which I had the low speed screw issues going on, and so I had to do a lot of playing around with that. So obviously I couldn't really go by the settings that I used in that previous video on the new screw that I put in. But so I'm really happy with this. This is the screw there, and it's definitely not running lean. I wouldn't call that a lean, and if anything, both of these are running just a tad bit rich, and I will take that any day. But I think that looks really good. I'm hoping it's focusing really well for you there to check that out. So I'm happy. I think it turned out well. The ski engine ran great. It fired right up. Really happy about that, with the way it ran. But not all was well by the end of the day. The reason I didn't do any of this on the ramp there or at the lake was because we were about to call it a day and heading back in, and my wife motioned for me that she was having some trouble. So I rode over there, and she said this thing was losing power. And so I noticed then, any of you guys that are Sea-Doo riders, wave runners, jet skis, when I got alongside of her, the rear of the ski was in the water and the nose was up in the air, and she was moving along at a very slow clip. If you've been there, you know where I'm going with this. This thing was taking on water. So it's obviously a slow leak. I never checked it. I should have. I should have. One of the 2 stops I went back to the pier, probably should have pulled the seat off and just to inspect the engine, but I didn't. So when we got back, pulled the seat off, we had a good bit of water up here and all the way back here especially. I don't know, it took several minutes to drain it. So obviously we have a leak. I would say kind of a slow leak. It took about 2 hours on the water to load this thing up like that. So now I'm gonna have to go back through. I wasn't thinking I should have drained it, put it back in the water, and tried to at least see where maybe the water was coming from, but I didn't. So I'm gonna have to take it back now, and but first, I've got to go through all my hoses to see what I've done. If I left something unsealed or tightened, left something off. I mean, everything as far as an eye inspection looks good. So I don't know. Just looking at it, you know, I see a lot of my gasket maker is kind of out and running down here. I don't know, maybe I didn't tighten these up. I haven't even gone anywhere with this thing yet to try to find out. So that's something I got to do, find out where my leak is and get that thing plugged up. But other than that, it was a great day. Really happy with the way this thing turned out. Really happy with the way it ran. And glad to finally get this thing on the water and running good. And it was actually the second time I've had it on the water, and it was a big failure the first time because of the all the way back to the beginning, the oil seals, having no oil seals in this thing, and this thing sucking air and just a runaway engine. So with that, I'll close out this video. Probably the last video you'll see on this XL800, and unless I blow it up or something. But appreciate you guys again joining me and helping me out, comments on this thing, and it's a big help. But happy this thing's turned out well, and find my leak and we'll be good to go. So all right, appreciate it. Thanks for joining me.